This is the new Canon Powershot V1. This is the new flagship vlogging camera in Canon's range, hence why I'm vlogging on it right now. I'm indoors right now, obviously, as you can see, but I think when I head outside, it's actually quite sunny. It might even be t-shirt weather. Is that a bit ambitious? Let's go outside and find out. But we can talk about the camera and talk about why this is actually quite a nice setup for vlogging. I've really only just taken it out, had a little play, and now filming this, but I've got to say it's incredibly easy to set up. I mean, unbelievably straightforward to just get going, right? It probably took me 2 minutes, really, and that's me fiddling around with everything. I didn't really need to do that and actually set this up the way I wanted to. I'm using the built-in microphone. There's a windsock on top of the camera as well, so I'll hopefully be able to get some good audio outside, which is cool. But the autofocus is just working very, very well. I can see it tracking my eye. There's a little square around my eye as it kind of tracks me around the frame, which is fantastic. It looks good in the flip out screen, so I can see myself. There's a little tally lamp on the front, so I know it's filming as well. Everything's built in, obviously, with the lens and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna take it outside. Let's pop the glasses on. Let's pop the hat on. And let's go out into the sun. Okay, we are out and about. Let's just let the exposure change itself a little bit there. There's a little bit of wind, it's nothing too crazy, but it'll be interesting to see how the built-in mic stands up to it. We're just gonna slide down here. Whoa! Because I'm gonna go take a photo across the water over this way, if you can kind of see this, because it's quite pretty. It's quite a nice light. It's still quite bright actually with direct sunlight. But, you know, it's interesting to see how the microphone's gonna hold up with the sea over there, the loudness of the stones underfoot. You've got a 1.4-inch sensor actually inside the camera, which should give some pretty decent quality stills and video as well. So shooting up to 4K. There's also no time limit on shooting in 4K as well. I'm shooting 4K now, so this is all going to be sample footage, this stuff from the camera, which is useful. And like I said before in the intro, this is just incredibly easy to set up. So for example, right now, it is quite bright. I've just turned on the built-in ND filter inside the camera, just to make it a little bit easier to expose for this kind of lighting where I've just moved into shadow, but where I've got direct sunlight actually shining down onto me. Just makes it a little bit easier to deal with stuff like that. Because it's just in camera, it's just one item in the menu. It's super easy to switch that on and just get shooting, which is really what you want out of a camera like this. Otherwise, incredibly small, incredibly lightweight. And we're gonna test out, obviously we're testing the video now, but we're gonna test out the stills capability as well, because we've got some beautiful kind of end of the day light to see how this can perform. So, okay, we've come back now so that we can actually talk about some of the actual specs of the camera, kind of what it can do from a more technical perspective, right? I've got it in my hands here. You can see it's very nice and small. I've got to say, it's actually super comfortable to hold, whether you are, videoing yourself, whether you are taking it out and about. It's got a very small grip, but it actually does make enough of a difference to feel pretty good in the hand. It's also quite tactile in the way that it kind of feels. The actual kind of texture of it feels quite good in the hands. And then in terms of button placement, it's actually very straightforward. They're not the biggest buttons in the world. They were never going to be, right? It's not a particularly big camera. I've never had a problem with turning these dials. I've got quite big fingers and big thumbs. And it's not been a problem actually pressing these buttons and controlling the camera. Like I said before, you've got a 1.4-inch sensor inside the camera, which is pretty similar roughly to about micro four thirds, which means that the actual lens on the front, which is an 8.2mm to 25.6, works out roughly about 16 to 50mm, which is pretty versatile actually for whatever it is that you want to shoot, photo or video, right? That's wide enough on the wide end to be getting all kinds of stuff, vlogging, landscape stuff, lots of different things. And then actually zoomed in, you can get some pretty nice stuff. Now, f2.8 at the wide end through to f5.6, not too bad. I didn't have any problems shooting. Now, eventually it's been nice and sunny, nice and bright. But I've got to say, the image quality actually looks really nice. That's something which, I'm not saying it surprised me, but with compact cameras, I'm usually kind of bracing myself to make a little bit of a compromise with some cameras in this kind of range. But actually, I think it looks really, really good. I'm really pleased with the stuff that I was getting out of this, whether it was filming myself or, like I say, filming other things, taking photos as well. This is actually really usable, and it's incredibly easy to actually set up and just head out shooting. You can kind of lean on the camera as much as you want. So you can let the camera control all kinds of different things, the exposure, the kind of look of things. And then as you learn more and more, you can take more and more control, which I think is a fantastic option for someone who is maybe getting this coming from a smartphone, right? They want to do all kinds of different things that you would do with a smartphone. I think that this is such a good option. With that in mind, you have got this mode dial at the top, which obviously allows you to switch between things like manual, aperture priority, shutter speed priority, stuff like that. But you also have different scene modes, so you can kind of set different looks for your footage and your photos as well. And on top of that, you can shoot in C-Log 3, which is pretty cool actually for a nice compact camera like this, right? If you don't want to shoot in the kind of standard picture profile, if you want to do some slightly more in-depth color grading later, you can do that. In terms of actual kind of ability, 4K 60 when it comes to video, full HD up to 120 frames a second as well. So you've got some nice slow motion capability in there as well, which is pretty cool. 22.3 megapixel stills, which actually is not bad. And then alongside being able to set things like different picture styles to get different looks to your images and your video, you've also got things like the time-lapse mode in camera, where again, you can set it up yourself if you know exactly how you want to shoot it, or you can tell the camera the different modes of time-lapse that you want to shoot, right? Depending on the kind of time-lapse you're getting, and the camera will just fill in all the details for you. So again, there's just a lot of versatility for kind of letting the camera handle a lot of the kind of technical side of things while you're able to focus on just getting the content you want to get. I love that kind of stuff. And with a camera like this, right, which is designed for a few different kinds of people, those kind of beginner people who maybe this is their first camera, maybe it's a step up from a smartphone, I think it's ideal, right? Fantastic autofocus, don't have to really worry about that, don't even really have to think about it, right? It's just gonna be able to track people, animals, whatever you want. It's dual pixel CMOS AF2, so it just works incredibly well, right? You don't have to plug in an external mic because you've got the option of the built-in mic with the windsock here as well, but you can if you want, right? You can plug in headphones as well, USB-C, so incredibly easy to charge, incredibly easy to connect as well, which is great. It also controls quite nicely with regards to the way the dials work, right? So you've got the dial on the back, which you can spin, which I've been using for shutter speed, and then actually a dial on the lens, basically an aperture ring, right? Which is, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's kind of a nice way to set up being able to control this different stuff. It means it works fantastically for a beginner, right? But it also works fantastically for someone like me, for example. This would be great for someone like me to take out and about while I'm shooting videos and actually just be able to vlog. It's so small, it would actually just fit in a hoodie pocket or a coat pocket. I don't have to have a whole bag. Super interesting. Now, full disclosure, I'm not always a massive fan of compact cameras. There's a few reasons for that. And to be honest, I'll be completely transparent. That might be a little bit of a kind of snobby way of thinking about it. I tend to like to shoot on my full frame camera or not at all, which is probably a habit I need to break anyway. But this has really surprised me by how much, not only have I enjoyed going out to shoot with it, it's made it so easy and so enjoyable to go out and capture all kinds of different things. I've not really had to have a big bag on and stuff like that. I've just been able to go out and enjoy myself, which has been really nice actually. But I'm kind of, and I don't mean to sound, too surprised, I'm kind of really into the way things look out of this camera. Way more than I thought I would be. So for me, this is a really interesting camera for all of those different reasons, and something that actually I really hope to get my hands on again for a little bit longer, and maybe go out and do a whole thing, maybe vlog a whole, a whole trip or something. So keep an eye out for that maybe in the next couple of months. But of course, you can check out the full spec, including the pricing, all the fun stuff, everything you want to know about this camera over on parcameras.com. There's a link down in the description so you can go and check it out for yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, because there's new content coming all the time, reviews, tutorials, all kinds of stuff. I'll see you in the next video. But until then, as always, thanks for watching.